a stay-at-home dad, watching Disney movies he never had. His daughter digs through all the VHS, crushing the classics in a princess dress. Informed like Scuttle, Kurt's got your ticket, making it real like Jiminy Cricket. Most are off the Captain Hook, but if the Tweedledum, he'll be taking more shots than Bambi's mom. Leaves him raised like Simba, or cracked like the beast dishes. He'll show you a whole new world, you won't need 3 wishes. Stay at home, Disney Dad.
This is already a Christmas gift. I just popped the VHS tape into the VCR for a much needed holiday injection of JTT, but before I could even get to feature presentation, we get a trailer for Justin Timberlake in Model Behavior. The 2 kids conjure up a magic spell so their NHL father and mother switch bodies in a saintly switch. This is what I'm asking Santa for. These 2 VHS tapes, it's been what, 220 weeks in a row or whatever, and there are still Disney shows and movies I have never even heard of. Feature presentation, scrolly blue logo with a row of Christmas lights. This is already fun. Give it to me. Give me my 3rd Christmas movie home run for 2023, right? Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who probably makes more in one day off Lion King royalties than I make an entire year, is in I'll Be Home for Christmas. We start scrolling over a weird animation of a map and Santa hats, and this reminds me of a future game called Angry Birds. Will Simba be home for Christmas? We shall see. Okay, this opening credit scene has been going on for way too long. Arlene Salfers, bless her heart, could have saved time by showing her name once and listing everything she does on the same page. I swear she's been the writer, director, cinematographer, key, third grip, continuity, craft services, on and on. It just doesn't end. We get it. We start, as all great Christmas movies start, there's a kid stuck in his high school locker. JTT extorts him, asking how he did on his test and if he got the Dave Matthews tickets. Both slip from the closed locker. JTT looks him over, he's pleased, so he lets this kid out. Some bully stuffed him in there because of some bad fake IDs. So he asks this kid to change some airline tickets for him. Then he bribes some girl with chocolate who lets this guy Jake into her dorm room, where he, Jake, proceeds to crawl into bed with some sleeping girl. She wakes up, and what my 7th heaven is this? It's Jessica Biel. She wakes up, and like most girls who wake up and there's suddenly some dude in their bed that wasn't there when they fell asleep, she's like, hey. Oh, she's late for her test, but Jake surprised her with tickets to Cabo over Christmas. But she doesn't want to go. She wants to go home and have a traditional Christmas, but Jake does not like his dad's new girlfriend, so he does not want to go home. Then we meet some cool kid. He hits on Jessica Biel because he has eyes, but then he's distracted by Biel and he backs up into a parked car. Okay, so Jake is running some sort of like illegal document forging side hustle and test cheating with the kid that got stuffed into the locker. Jake's dad calls him and asks if he's coming home for Christmas. Dad says, well, the tickets he sent him were cashed in for 2 tickets to Cabo. Dad says, you haven't been home since Mom died. Dad says, Allie, that's Jessica Biel, says her parents say she's coming home for Christmas as well, so I expect to see you. He promised to get his kid to come home. Dad promises Jake the Porsche. He promises a Porsche if he comes home for Christmas. The dad says if Jake can make it home by Christmas supper, he gets to own the Porsche. So now he changes his 2 tickets to Cabo for 2 tickets back to New York. So wait, he turned 1 ticket to New York into 2 tickets to Cabo, back to 2 tickets to New York? He should do this all day and make money that way instead of this other side hustle. The jocks are trying to cheat on a test with Jake and his nerd sidekick Ian. Okay, locker room boy's name was Ian, but that guy that hates Jake busts it up. He runs interception, and the jocks end up failing the test. Later that day, the jocks that were promised to pass the test with Jake's cheating shenanigans angrily surround Jake, and we fade to black. Allie shows up to go to the airport, but there's no Jake. Where's Jake? He wakes up in a desert in a Santa suit. He throws a napkin at some vulture. His Santa beard and hat are glued on. I guess the football team glued the hat and beard on and dumped him in the desert after they knocked him out. This is suddenly really fun. Allie, like Jessica Biel, can't get a hold of Jake, and then the car jock guy named Eddie is like, I'll give you a ride home. She goes with him and gives him a list of rules that will result in her hitting him, which is an abuse joke that hasn't aged well. Santa Jake is walking through the desert. He sees a gas station in the distance. He goes to use a payphone, but he doesn't have any money, so he has to do like the 90s, make a collect call and be like, "Hey, Jake, I'm stuck in the desert!" You know, speed scream your message when the recorder asks, "What is your name?" Beep. So next he calls home. He talks to his little sister Tracy. She hands the phone to Dad. He asks Dad for cash because he's stuck in the desert, and Dad's like, "That's the worst excuse. You're stuck in the desert glued to a Santa suit." No, we had a deal. No home, no Porsche. He tricks some old lady, this is Jake, who's driving with her gal pals to Vegas to see Tom Jones. He tricks them into giving him a ride, and then he pukes in her car. They rip off his beard for some reason and toss him out of the car. He then tries to hitchhike to no avail. There's some filler, a montage. He finds a life-size Santa sled display. He tosses out the fake plastic Santa and he sleeps in the sled. That was fun. Jessica Biel gets a hotel room for the night and kicks this guy out. The next morning, she comes outside to continue the car ride, and he looks at her and says, "Whoa, you're not so pretty in the morning. I'm glad nothing happened with us last night." Wow, awesome. Next day, we get another montage of Jake trying to hitchhike. We get a distracted driver in like a kidnapper's van almost running him over. He thinks he killed Santa. I'm not sure if he's all there. They roll around in some fake snow. This guy's a weirdo. We suddenly hard cut to Jessica Biel singing to Aqua's Dr. Jones, which is something I never thought I needed. Creep Eddie asks her what she sees in Jake, and she starts telling him a story. "Don't do it, Jessica. It's a trap. He's gathering intel, Biel." This weirdo that picked up Jake, they're cruising down the highway. They almost catch up to the Pathfinder with Beale in it. This guy's like, "Your girlfriend is in that car with another man. Mrs. Claus is letting someone else in her chimney. I'll catch up to that hoe. I'll Be Home for Christmas, 1998. They're speeding and the cops start chasing them, and then this guy suddenly he's like, "Oh, I gotta outrun them," and Jake figures out that there's a whole bunch of stuff in the back of the van that's probably stolen. This guy's probably on the run. So he finally convinces him to pull over, and for some reason Jake decides the play is to lie to the police. He tells the bumbler driver to act like he's his elf. He tries pulling the Santa stuff, and he's like, "We were on our way to deliver toys to the children's hospital in the next town. Sorry, we were speeding." And the cop buys it. That was good. That was a good scene. But then the cop is like, "You know what? Follow me and I'll make sure you get there." Jake and the weirdo end up in the children's hospital, and they're handing out all the stolen merchandise to the kids from the back of his van. JTT is killing it in this scene now. His acting is so uneven. Him talking to the kids as a pretend Santa is so good. The last kid wants to be home for Christmas, and out of nowhere, we have an injection of Christmas feels in this movie. Jake calls home, and only his dad's new girlfriend, the one he doesn't like, is home. And she's excited for him to come home for Christmas. She asks him what his sweater size is, and he just completely brushes her off, again with the feels. She's trying hard, she's making the effort, he's kind of being a jerk to her. His bumbler fake elf guy, the driver, was so touched by giving out the stolen goods to the kids that he wants to go back the way he came, back home for Christmas. So now he's gonna get in the van and go back the way he came, leaving Jake with no ride going forward. The cop asks if Santa, like Jake, could come talk to his ex-wife, but he's like, no. And then he realizes the cop is going in the way he wants to go, so he changes his mind. He's like, "Sure, let's go." Dad stands over the Porsche in the garage and goes, "Where are you, son?" to the night sky. What a monologue. Santa, Jake goes to talk to Marjorie on behalf of the cop, trying to get her to come home with the cop for Christmas. She's a waitress, she's working, she's not having it. Then Marjorie and the cop start arguing over the police walkie-talkie that he gave Jake. That was kind of a fun moment. Jake takes a shot at convincing her. He tells her his story, or like a story about a Jake not wanting to come home for Christmas. And she's like, "This Jake guy sounds like a jerk." And Jake's like, "Whoa, no, wait a second. No, he's the good guy." So I guess his dad married this new girl 10 months after his wife, like Jake's mom died. And Margie and she and everyone else in the restaurant is like, "This Jake guy sounds like the problem." This is awesome. The scene is so good. Suddenly a van of musicians pull up to the restaurant. Here we go. The cop walks in and serenades Marjorie while the band plays along. It's terrible, but she's touched. It's about his affair, and it's to the tune of "Oh Christmas Tree." Jake is writing the lyrics in real time on his like ticket tablet and tearing off the pages after each line of lyrics. This is good stuff. The last lyric is how he'll her on the velvet skirt under the tree. Amazing lyrics, Jake. Jake says, "Now on your knees," and then he sings, "Marjorie, down on your knees," and that joke played out in a way I don't think they wanted it to, because no one reacts like I did to that joke. But then he gets the hint and he's like, "Oh, me." So the cop gets down on his knees and he sings, and she takes him back. Beale and the other dude stop at some like fun German Christmas village tourist place for the night. In another bathroom in a gas station, Jake is practicing his ho ho ho's for some kid who gives him some pretty funny, honest feedback. He's like, the first one is for little kids, the last one makes you sound like a serial killer. In the German village, Beale warms up to the creep, and they flirt, and suddenly there's like a news crew growing live at the German Christmas village, and the reporter's like, and look, there's this sweet couple under the mistletoe, and Beale and the dude kiss on live TV, and Jake sees it on live TV from the gas station, wherever he is, and he's like, I'm gonna kill him. Beale and this dude get the last room available for the night at this German place, and of course it's the honeymoon suite. This movie would be so different from this guy's angle. In the bus, Jake puts some meat in an icebox with the directions to take this liver to a little girl in Edelbrook for emergency surgery, and everyone on the bus is like, oh my god, someone must have lost this, we gotta take it. This little girl, and Santa can deliver it. And he's even here, and Santa can deliver it to the girl. Eddie and Allie wake up after sleeping in the same bed, but it turns out she made Eddie wear like 6 layers of clothing. That's fun. The bus detours to that German village, and Jake takes the cooler and he goes to the hotel. They won't give out any personal info about the guests and where they're staying, so these 2 dudes in lederhosen toss him out. He sneaks back in, steals the guest list, goes to their room and confronts Beale about kissing that dirtbag. Eddie saunters out in a towel and he's all cocky. He's like, hey Jake. Jake rips off his towel and the shot of Eddie's junk is covered by a glass of orange juice in the foreground like an Austin Powers skit. But Jessica Biel, like the actress, stares at his junk as the towel comes off for a second. And like the actor probably has like a banana hammock on or something, but this just was weird to me, okay? The character, Beale, would stare at this guy's junk as the towel comes off. Am I overthinking it? Like, I'm trying to, if suddenly ripped off a dude's towel in front of me, would I probably stare at his junk for a second as the towel came off too, just out of reflex? Maybe not like reflex, but just like oh no, the towel, way, like not like I wanted to see it or I was hoping to see it, but it was just like, that's where your eyes would go with the movement, and this is stupid, But if you didn't know it was coming, like, you would look, right? You would look, right? I don't care who you are or what you're into. If suddenly a colorful towel is being pulled off, that's where your eyes would be drawn to, even if it took a second for you to realize it, and then you're looking at junk. You know what? What? Jessica Biel, Allie, tells off JTT, storms out. Now Jake bonds with Eddie. Now Jake is carpooling with Eddie. They're driving down the highway like a couple of bros having a good time without Allie. This is a wonderful swerve. They're complaining about women, and this might be the greatest swerve I've ever seen in Disney history, but unfortunately it doesn't last. Eddie decides he doesn't want to help Jake after all, and he kicks him out of his car. He's like, yeah, I don't want you to get a Porsche. Okay, Jake stumbles into a Christmas Eve Santa fun run. It's a 5K with hundreds of people dressed like Santa. Just one after another. This movie is relentless. He tries to join, but he doesn't have the $10, so some older gentleman steps up and covers his entry fee, and he's all friendly with young Jake. I'm sure this is going to be fine. They line up, the gun goes off, and I'll be honest, these are great visuals. Hundreds of Santas running to a montage of like a pop version of Run Run Rudolph. It comes down to Jake and his adult buddy, and they go slow-mo race to the finish line, but Jake pulls ahead and wins. It's hard to tell, but the other Santa kind of looks like Chevy Chase, but like classic, fun, old Chevy Chase, not like grumpy, old, community-hating, comedies passed me by Chevy Chase. Jake wins. He hops in a cab with his money to drive the rest of the way. The cab driver's like, oh, you're the guy that beat the mayor at the race. Yeah, he wins every year. Everybody kind of lets him win because then he just like donates the money to buy turkeys for the poor people in the town. Okay, he's like, turn this cab around, oh my god. So he goes back and he leaves the money in a mailbox. The mayor actually comes out and he's like, oh, hey buddy, like, you want to come have Christmas dinner with my family and I? But he turns it down. He wants to go home. Beale on the bus is sad. Jake calls home and tells his sister Tracy to tell dad that he's not going to get home after all. And she's like, I have $400 of birthday money saved in cash. If I bought you a plane ticket right now, you could still get home, right? And he's like, you do that for me? She goes, no, I do that for dad. What a great moment. This is a great movie. He gets to the airport, and the password she made him use is like, Jake is stupid and a smelly face, and his sister is the coolest. So it's the right password, but he doesn't have ID, so he still can't fly. But he sneaks into a dog crate, takes the flight with the animals under the plane. They land. He escapes the crate. It's 5:06. He's not home yet. He's got 54 minutes. He's running through the airport. Now he's on a train, but they check for tickets. He doesn't have a train ticket, so he gets kicked off. Dad is sadly stoking the fireplace in a way no one does unless they're in a movie and they're sad. Dad's girlfriend or wife, Carolyn, says Jake still has 15 minutes. Jake is now running down the street, begging cars for a ride. Now he's hanging on the roof of a car. He rolls off the top as it turns. He lands on a Christmas parade. He sees an empty sleigh with a real horse, so he hops in and giddy up. Away they ride. He steals it. This is good stuff. He's going to roll up to his house in a horse and sleigh, dressed as Santa, as carolers come around the corner singing Silent Night, but it's another swerve. He comes screaming around the corner and almost runs the carolers over. They have to jump out of the way. Good stuff. His sister from the window says, "Come on, Jake." He stops at Jessica Biel's house and motions for her to get on the sled. She comes out and they have a heart-to-heart. Now is not the time. You have like 2 minutes. Go get the Porsche. Biel can wait. Oh, who am I kidding? It's Jessica Biel. What can you say about Jessica Biel? Like, honestly. Well, a friend of mine once said he would crawl over broken glass just to drink her dirty bathwater. I didn't say it. It's a legit quote a friend of mine had about actress Jessica Biel. It doesn't matter, okay? They make up. She hops on the sleigh and they pull up in front of Jake's house. It's 5:59. Of course it is. He says, "Tell me when it's after 6. Bah! He doesn't want the Porsche. He wants this moment. He wants to see the look of heartbreak on his family as it turns 6 and he isn't there. But like the Who's on Christmas morning, Christmas came anyway. At 6:01, they hop off the sleigh, they walk up the door. Legit nice moment. Why am I like this? What's wrong with me? The last 2 weeks, Santa Claus 2 and Babes of Toyland filled me with Christmas joy. This week, I'll Be Home for Christmas did as well. Am I that starved for Christmas moments? Did I forget about Christmas last year? Is this like the first Christmas I've had in a long time? Jake comes in all smiles. He says he doesn't even want the Porsche yet. He turns to his dad's girlfriend or wife and says, 38. His sweater size is 38. Then he asks this woman what her sweater size is. What just happened? She says, 8. Then the parade goes by the house. They're mad, the parade people, because he stole the sleigh. But Jake is just so charming, they don't care. They forgive him. Jake is home. He's still dating Jessica Biel, and he knows the size of his dad's girlfriend's chest. It's the perfect ending to a perfect Christmas movie.
That's what I think about.
What do you think?
What we have is a concern about Curtis Anderson. His interviewing style is not the best. His personal appearance is not the best. I was wondering if the man has some kind of a hold over the channel that he's allowed to be employed for so long with the standards of journalism and personal appearance that he has.